Hello, welcome back to another episode of Casters of the Cards. I'm Dane, and I'm joined with...
Austin, how's it going?
It's going great, and today we're going with another deck tech. Today we're taking a look at a $50 budget Marneus Calgar. Let's get right into it here with our deck theme. Surprise! Marneus Calgar is a token deck.
I would have been able to guess.
You couldn't have guessed that whenever one or more tokens enter the battlefield, you draw a card. And Chapter Master allows you to make two Astartes Warrior tokens of Vigilance for 6 mana. Who could have guessed that's a token deck right there? So we're looking at Marneus Calgar. It is not an unpopular commander.
Well, and that's mostly because it's one of the Warhammer 40K Universes Beyond precons.
It is, but do you remember that he was not the face commander of that precon deck? He was
Sure.
the secondary.
Sure?
I am sure the Inquisitor was the primary commander.
Okay.
Um,
Fact check.
Fact check me in the comments below, but I'm pretty sure. But clearly, he's the standout here. Nearly every card in this deck is going to make tokens, make one token, make a token every turn. Um, we just want to make a bunch of tokens. And we're going to get card advantage off of every single one. Um, let's take a look at what this deck has to offer for us with our pros and cons. Austin, what are some of the pros of a deck like this?
Well, you are a token deck, so you're going wide. And when you make a lot of creatures, sometimes you get to draw some cards, like off Marneus' ability. And speaking of, that Marneus is kind of an all-in-one package. Not only can he make tokens, but he can draw cards off his own tokens. So you kind of get to do that with him, which is pretty good, especially for your
Yeah,
commander.
yeah. For some reason, you reach a point in the game where you have no hand, and you're casting Marnius for the second time. You at least are going to be able to do something to start regaining cards and a board state. Um, Plus, I glossed over it a little bit, but Marnius is a 3/5 with double strike, so he even can maybe possibly do some commander damage. Who knows?
I think he hit
Um,
some pretty close games. He does hit a lot, and the double strike makes him kind of a bad target to block. So I think it's kind of came up.
yeah, it's definitely been relevant. Um, but I'll let y'all know as soon as I kill somebody. But
Yeah.
cons. Board wipes are going to be pretty detrimental when everything you have is a token 1/1, or most everything is a token 1/1. So there's a lot of red board wipes that are red and black both, whether red being one damage to every creature or black -1/-1 to every creature. It can be a little risky committing like that.
Well, and
And then also,
tokens are kind of
oh,
unique
sorry.
too, because you get like stuff like Steel Hellkite or like Maelstrom Pulse, because they all have the same name, or they don't really have like a mana value. So unfortunately, you get hit
Right.
by like a lot of more. You get hit by a lot more stuff than normal too.
Yeah, yeah. Can't be returned to hand. All that kind of weird magic rules will get you. Um, and then it can be a little slow. I mean, Marnius is a 5 mana, and we're not in green, so we don't have any kind of turbo ramp or 1 mana dorks that we are going to have access to in budget. So uh, you do have to play it a little cautious in the early game, and once you get Marnius, you really need at least one turn with him alive before you could really start drawing a card every single round. But if you can get to that point, then things really pop off quickly.
Yeah.
And let's take a look at what we're working with here. Our deck breakdown. We have 37 creature token generators. Um, 17 mana rocks and ramp, 10 draw cards, whether that's repeatable or single use, 11 single target interaction, 4 mass board wipes, and 37 lands. When you think about those stats, Austin.
Pretty good numbers. I see you've got a lot of extra ramp in here, but you know you need it, especially when you're making tokens and you've got your activated ability on your commander if you ever want to use that. And like you said, he's 5 mana, so 3 color pips, 5 mana. You kind of have to do a little bit with that.
To be fair, some of what I'm counting as ramp is the land cycling and going to get planes into your hand, which is not ramp, but in a deck like this, I'm fudging it a little bit. I still do definitely have 12 mana rocks and Wayfarer's Bauble. So all the best non-green ramp you can get, but it's not all traditional.
Sure,
Dark
sure.
Ritual counts as well for that number.
Yeah, no, I could definitely see that being thrown in there for sure. Well, what about the rating? We together decided this was a 4. Why exactly is this a 4? Because it's kind of up there.
You can make the argument for a 3 or a 4, I think. But
3.5.
we'll call it 3.5.
3.5. Magic, just Wizards got to do that 3.5 and make everybody happy. What? They don't have any other halves. Just 3.5. That's the only half. Just 3.5.
Half-Life 3.5. Based on 2025's commander bracket, they would say we got a core 1. At the very least, we can agree that this is not worse than a precon.
Well, it's the. I thought 2's precon though.
2, that's what I'm saying.
This is a precon.
1 would be.
I mean, they said 2. I think it's 2 then, because 2 is a precon.
2 is a precon. They're saying this is worse than a precon, which is 1. 1 is your I forget what they call it.
That's your like the people sitting in chairs.
That's what they equated it to. Yes.
So you took all the 2 out of the precon and made it a good firm 1. I get you. Thank you. Thanks, Papa Magic.
So yeah, I'd argue definitely better than that. And I think you've played with me enough. Would you say that this is a better package that I've put together than the precon?
Yes, I would say that. I would definitely say that without going into it too much. Just kind of saying like, obviously, not obviously. I guess those Warhammer precons were a little less focused as they had been, a little reminiscent of the older style precons where you kind of you have a half of this deck and a half of that deck. And they wanted to fit all those different juicy cards in just 4 precons, so and they were still good. But yeah, you've definitely just taken the what if it were just all tokens? That you made you made it real simple, just tokens.
And you add in an infinite combo, a win the game card, and Marneus's already good abilities, and it's very easily a 3 or 4 deck, even without any game changers, in my opinion. I don't think you're going to have any trouble playing against some better decks. You might struggle against a competitive 4 deck, but you shouldn't have any issues. Anybody who's calling their deck a 3, I think.
No. And if you wanted to upgrade this deck, you could clearly, in these colors with these options and picking better versions of certain cards, you could definitely make this a 4.5. 4.5.
Oh yeah, very easily, and I'll talk a little more about that as we go. Next, let's cover our token generators. That's the fun part of this deck, after all.
This is the main theme, isn't it?
It's the main theme. 37 cards. 37 cards, and that's just the ones that make creatures. I still have a few that make treasures, which are still going to trigger Marneus Calgar. But for the most part, we're focusing on the creature creators. And I really focused on every card type. I only have 1 planeswalker, but I've got enchantments, creatures, instants, and sorceries that are all going to make us, and artifacts that are all going to make tokens for us. So we're not committed to any one avenue. Requiem Angel and Thales are probably two of the better creature options, as what they do for us is whenever Requiem Angel says whenever a non-spirit dies, create a 1/1 spirit token. That might be one of the strongest effects in this deck.
I hold that up there with the good one, because that's the if your whole field is non-tokens and they die and then they become tokens, then they can flow even one more because all those tokens might not be spirits. I know in most decks that use this. I know in your deck most of yours are already tokens, but they're not spirits, so you kind of get to float them just the once. I still think it's pretty good though. That's pretty just keep you in the game, because like we said, you want to have a lot of creatures to actually get to play.
Yeah, and Thales does something very similar. At the beginning of each end step, create X white spirits with flying, where X is the number of creature tokens you created. So instead of dying, Thales cares about however many you made. You're just gonna double how many you
It's
make.
almost like a doubling season or parallel lives.
A little bit, a little bit.
Just a little slower.
So right, so we're capitalizing on, yeah, albeit slower, but repeatable effects like that create a lot of value over time.
Yeah, or like an
Um,
instant speed if you do it on someone else's turn, because it does say each instant, which is pretty good.
right, and so then you mix in some of the other cards we have here, like theoretical duplication of flip the switch. What's your instance? Flip the switch is a counter spell. And then whenever you do so, you counter a spell, you're going to create a 2/2 Decayed Zombie, which will trigger Marneus Calgar. You're going to draw a card when you counter something. So that's just already card advantage. You're drawing a card, and you're removing a threat for the price of one card. So card advantage right there. Theoretical duplication is a little more interesting. You want to talk about that one, Austin?
Yeah. So it's a 2 blue instant, and it's whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under an opponent's control this turn, create a token that's a copy of that creature. So it's a lasting effect until the end of turn, until cleanup at the end of the turn, and I mean you almost get to send triplets, like, oh, you get a turn, I get a turn, which is pretty good because if you're going up against a similar playstyle deck, or maybe like a Dragon where they're just making a whole bunch of dragons, or like a Miram making like
Mm-hmm.
4 or 5 of the same dragon with a good effect. This is gonna put an interesting twist on it. There may not want to be doing that anymore. Um, Obviously, it's an instant and it's kind of a secret. You're not broadcasting, so
Yeah,
it.
and even just being able to copy somebody's commander, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah. No, so
you're
there's a lot of good commanders like that you could get a lot of value out of, especially since you have such a large amount of creatures. There's so many commanders that just interact with, like, you have so many creatures, do these things or do these
mhm.
things with your creatures.
Yep. So I've tried to find as many fun instances like that as I could. We've got Zephyrum, which represents the squad, which does come directly from the Warhammer Precon. Uh, Squad is a mechanic that says whenever you cast it, kind of like Kicker, but technically different. It's technically ETB. But as you're casting it, you may pay Squad 2 for every time. And whenever you do that, it's going to enter and you're going to create a copy of Zephyrum for every time you pay Squad. So if you pay Squad 5 times, then you make 5 copies. Uh,
So basically,
Zephyrum
just
specific. Oh, go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say, basically, like you said earlier in the other slide, where it's just like every card in here, it does one thing like normal, but then also, preferably, we want it to also make a token. So kind of like the Feldar Retreat, where it's like play land, get a token. Maybe you got too many tokens, you just put a couple of counters. The squad gets you got a lot of extra mana, you can do that. Um, like you said, the flip the switch, just you're countering something, but you also get a token.
Mm-hmm. Felder Retreat probably doesn't need an explanation, but it's here because it not only does it make a token every time we play a land, but it can give our entire token board a +1/+1 counter and vigilance. And that's a card right there that's been a threat several times. So can't underestimate something like that. Where as soon as we don't need tokens, let's go attack.
Which is definitely a theme I know we'll talk about a little later. But now we can talk about our ramp. So what kind of ramp do you have in this guy since it's a non-green deck?
Well, we don't have a lot going on here. Mostly mana rocks. As I said before, we have a few cards like Kayla's Command that are going to go and get us a Plains card and put it in our hand. And we do have Ashnod's Altar and Dark Ritual, which are a little spicier. Dark Ritual is really fun in a 5 mana black deck because Marneus is 3 black, white, blue. And so look at that. Dark Ritual pays for that 3 right there. So then we just have to
Yeah,
make sure we have our colors.
that's a turn
Or I'm
2
sorry,
spell.
not 3. What am I saying? 2. 2 white, black, blue. So then Dark Ritual covers black and the 2 colorless. So you just need white and blue, and you're ready to go.
Which means you can get a firm turn 3 Marneus as long as you've got Dark Ritual. So that is definitely good for you to kind of get in the game.
Yeah, for sure. Astronaut's Altar will. I don't think I'm going to get to talk about it later, but this deck has with squad and a handful of instant speed create X tokens. One interesting thing with Astronaut's Altar is for every token generator that I have, that's an X cost that is a 1-for-1. I wish I had an example right here, but if you were to pay if you were to pay X and a white to make X tokens, then Astronaut's Altar says, oh, so you spent 5 mana to create 5 tokens. We're going to turn that into 10. Now you have a squad card. Okay, well, we're going to convert that into stronger creatures. And then we could sack them again
Okay.
later to. You kind
Kind
of
of a
double your mana.
yeah, like a step
Yeah,
up.
exactly. Uh,
I gotcha. I
so,
gotcha.
something fun you can do there. What
Um,
else do we have? Card advantage. Boy, we've got all kinds. Obviously, we're going for instant speed. Deadly Dispute is even better in this deck than most because we can sacrifice a creature or an artifact to draw 2 cards and create a treasure. But look at that. Marneus is on the field, so when we make that treasure, we're going to draw a 3rd card.
that is pretty good actually, since it's just token, not token creature.
Right, yeah. You could obviously, if you really felt like it, you could make Marneus Calgar a food token deck if you felt like it. But that's not what I
And
did.
that's why it's a 1. That's why it's a bracket
Yeah.
1. Marneus Calgar eats a lot of food.
Vanguard Suppressor is another one of those squad cards. And he says whenever he deals combat damage, you're going to draw a card.
Which is pretty
So,
good because you're probably not going to just have the 1.
no, you make 2 or 3, and then they each attack, and you draw 3 cards. Plus, squad in and of itself is card advantage because you're getting 2 creatures for 1. So, uh, that's also pretty good. Uh, Council of the Four, one of the better cards in this deck. Whenever any player draws their second card a turn, you draw a card. Whenever any player casts their second spell during their turn, you create a 2/2 knight.
So some stuff
Uh,
people are probably going to want to be doing.
right. And that bottom ability, whenever they cast their second spell, let's say you cast your second spell, um, not only do you make the knight, but when you make the knight, you're going to draw a card. And then, oh, that you drawing that card off of that knight is now your second draw, so then you're going to draw another card. So, uh, really plays very nicely with Marneus Calgar.
That's pretty good. And I don't I don't think it's ever come up, but it is a 0/8, which has lots of different impacts on the game. One, it's a good blocker. Two, it doesn't have a power, so that means there's a few board wipes that it's actually going to completely dodge, which is actually kind of interesting.
I think it actually did come up one time where somebody used one of those. Maybe it was you, because you
Slaughter the
run and you're
Strong or something.
Slaughter the Strong. No, I was thinking of the each creature deals damage to itself equals to its power.
Sure. I
And this was
can't
the only
remember
thing
off
I
the top
got to
of my
keep.
head right now.
But Pivot Cellar Secrets is a CEDH deck all on its own. But I can't help not include it here in Marneus Calgar.
It is a pretty good card that's going to get you some tokens, especially after the turn after you play Marneus, which means you're going to have a couple of good cards on the field, and you're going to start making some good tokens. And if people don't choose right, I mean, they're always going to choose that you get the evidence, but that's okay, you know.
There's always one. I mean, you get to choose twice. So you always make, or most of the time, you're going to make 2 treasure tokens, and then you're going to end up with 3 evidence tokens. So you get to draw a card right away, plus the draw with Marneus on the field. Add that to his 6/6 flying body with Ward 3, and you just have a very, very you got to deal with it card, because the amount of advantage it makes on its own is not anything people ever ignore, is it, Austin?
It's really not. People don't like this card, especially with the Ward 3 and flying. It makes it kind of stuck, and since it's doing something like that all the time, people start getting a little antsy on it. Like, I need to get rid of that sooner than later. Also, it's worth noting, since you do get to vote and do the 2 treasures, um, he does have to do damage, but you do get to start saving up 2 treasures at a time for some extra squad. Just conveniently hitting that number.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Um, so, and these are just representative of some of the better card advantage. But uh, let's move on to something more fun: interaction. Um,
Yeah, I'm like a
with this,
slide ahead of you here. Here we go. Single target interaction.
yeah. See,
What
so start with
yeah.
singles.
Yeah, so obviously this is all your like single target. but what exactly are you doing here? Because obviously you're in a couple of
So
decent cards
as I
for removal.
so most of our removal is going to be in white or blue and white. I have, off the top of my head, I don't know. I want to say 5 counter spells in this deck, and 17 instant speed interaction altogether. Um, so
Yeah, that seems like a pretty good number.
I wanted to be able to take advantage of. I like the idea of removing something on somebody else's turn, making a token, and then being able to attack with it right away on my turn. Kind of getting that 2 for 1 off of a spell. So I focused on a lot of those. I do have another squad here. Space Marine Devastator can be pretty strong if you're able to make a few of them whenever it enters the battlefield, destroy an artifact or enchantment. I don't have a ton of artifact or enchantment removal in this deck, so he's one of the better ones where, depending on the board state, if you need to get rid of a bunch of artifacts, it could come in pretty handy. Um, Deny the Witch is one of the best cards in this deck. Counter target spell, activated ability, or loyalty ability for 4 mana, so it's a little difficult to cast, but whenever you successfully counter something.
Trigger ability.
What did
Not
I thought I said that.
No, you said loyalty ability, but I mean, yeah,
Okay, my bad.
no planeswalker. You can't no planeswalker shenanigans. Just the trigger ability, which is still good.
My bad. And whenever you do that, it's gonna its controller is gonna lose life equal to the number of creatures you control, which, depending on the board state, could just be it. I beat one of our friends one time, just because they thought they were safe. And they went basically what could happen is in the late game, it comes down to, well, who can board wipe who? And so if you can, your opponent's going to try to board wipe your 10 creatures, and then, that's it, deny the witch, and then you attack out because they're board wipe filled. It works pretty good as a finisher. I've got a few cards here, like Collective Effort is a flexible card. It's removal, and it also can buff all of our creatures, and it has Escalate, meaning if you tap an untapped creature, you can use more than one of those abilities. And so if you have 3 token creatures, you get to use all 3 for 3 mana. You could remove 2 things and put a counter on every creature you control, which is pretty good.
Kind of harken back to your Feldar retreat, where just if you've got your tokens, you got to do something else. So that's a pretty good alternative plan. As to you've got a few tokens, let's go ahead and just drop some counters on them. Just gotta go a little taller.
Yeah. You gonna cover the next couple here, Austin?
Yeah. So you got the Charge of the Mites. So I see you're trying to go for toxin damage. It might be a little slow though. I mean, you do only have the toxic one on the 2 mites, but
so the mites are a nice backup, but it's primarily removal.
I know, I'm messing with you. I see you're gonna deal. So the one you want obviously is if you're not drawing a card on these mites, which 3 mana to draw a card on Marneus. Maybe you need to do that. Charge of the Might deals damage equal to the number of creatures you control to a creature or planeswalker. So not as good as it being able to do it to a player, but you are usually going to have enough to basically turn it into a kill. And then the Mystic Reflection, that's a pretty good one. Choose target non-legendary creature. The next time one or more creatures or planeswalkers enters the battlefield this turn, they enter as copies of the chosen creature. So kind of back when we talked about the copying someone's board, and it kind of lasts till the end of the turn. This one's only going to last once for your opponent, or like it could be for you or your opponent. So you can really mess people up by playing this, because then they're not gonna be able to get anything that they want. You can pretty much do that for yourself, or you can pick something you want to have a duplicate of that you normally can't, and then you're gonna get 1 extra, which is pretty good. Because you're going to be making those tokens, and if one of your tokens could turn into anything better than a 1/1 might with Toxin 1, then that would be amazing.
Yeah. Just being able to, let's say, Solemn Simulacrums on the field, and you're about to make 3 tokens, then you cast Mystic Reflection before, and then your 3 1/1s enter as Solemn Simulacrums. So now instead of 1/1s, you get 2 2s, and when they die, you're going to draw a card. And when they enter, you're going to go get mana. So,
that's huge.
A lot of potential for some strong things. And as you said, I mean, somebody plays their commander, and now it's a 1/1 might.
Yeah, which is pretty good. I mean, you can, and the planeswalkers. Disrupting the planeswalkers doesn't come up a lot, but someone that has a Super Friends deck, you can definitely get that. Or if their commander is a planeswalker, that's going to also be not exactly what they want.
No.
But yeah, we can move on to the next one, which is now the non-single target removal, which is going to be the Mass Disruption, which you've got 4.
I've got 4. I think we try to hit 5. But I do think I have the types covered, and none of them, or they're all, as I put it here, you're able to use any of these at any point in the game and work around your board.
Yeah,
so what that means
than having, I think, like more than 4 for sure.
Right. Yeah, you definitely don't want to board wipe and destroy all your own creatures in the process.
Other people will do that for you. You don't need to. They got that covered for you. You mostly want to be working on the tokens.
So we'll just go through them real quick. Nevneral, whenever he enters the battlefield, you're going to create a token for every creature that died. So he helps us recovery right away. But then when he dies, you may pay 1. If you do, destroy all artifacts, creatures, and enchantments. So he can be, recovery. He can also, when you're behind, you crack them and take everybody with you, I guess. Blot Out the Sky is kind of similar. Create X 2/1 Flying Inklings. If X is 6 or more, destroy all non-land permanents. All non-creature, non-land permanents. So you're gonna get all of your artifacts and enchantments, which there's quite a few in this deck, so that can hurt. Most of the time, you're just gonna be making a few Inklings, but if you have to use it, it's there.
Well, and you can thankfully you can choose if that's going to absolutely cripple you. You can just make it a five inklings instead of 6.
Exactly. Yep. That's the flexibility I'm looking for. Hour of Reckoning is a classic token board wipe with Convoke. Could theoretically cost 3 mana, destroy all non-token creatures. So can't go wrong there. And Elspeth is pretty similar. Planeswalker. You can create 3/1/1s for the uptick. Not too bad. And then her -3 is destroy all creatures with power 4 or greater. And as we keep saying, all our tokens are 2s and 1s. But Marneus Calgar is what power and toughness, Austin?
He has a 3/5, so that's going to be right underneath what you need to be to hit, which is perfect.
It's just beautiful. And then if for some reason Elspeth sticks around, creatures you control get +2/+2 and flying. Probably not going to happen. But the board wipe and creature generation is strong enough on its own.
Well, I think I've got something that's going to make your day too, because I don't. Just going back to the Hour of Reckoning, the Convoke can be paid for entirely by creatures if you. Because I know you said you could get it to cost just 3, but you might want to take another look. Yeah,
I always forget that about Convoke.
You have to have 3 white creatures that are tokens, or well, I guess just 3 white creatures. But that does mean if you got 7 creatures, which you do get to, probably more than 7 creatures. You kind of just have a free destroy all non-tokens, which is kind of big.
At least one time where I could have cast that and I didn't because I forgot.
Yeah, I was about to say I'm looking at it now and I'm like, I bet I need to say that just to make sure. He's gonna be real. You're gonna be real excited the next time you've got 8 creatures.
I am, and I'm sure I'm not the only one who forgets that too, because they don't. I mean, it says it, but in the symbol, it only shows the one colorless, and so your brain just sees that, and you're like, "Oh yeah, colorless, cool."
But definitely worth just a double make sure you're playing that right for sure. Well,
yeah.
Now we can talk about your little other section, which not all of our decks have, but you do have a little page for the finishers.
Tokens don't win the game on their own. I mean, well, I say that. I guess I'm going to contradict myself. The primary strategy is to win with tokens here, but it's hard to do that on their own. So we have a couple of cards that can kind of do it. Mirkwood Bats is very strong in this deck. Whenever you create or sacrifice a token, each opponent is going to lose 1 life. We're not doing a ton of sacrificing in this deck, but just creating on its own. If you go to create 4 tokens and then you ping your opponents for 4 life, that's not nothing. Because not only did you ping them for 4 life, but now you have 4 1/1s, which are going to hit somebody for another 4. So you're turning what would be a 4 damage into 8 or potentially more at its worst case.
Well, and I'm to understand that all of these cards kind of represent something that you're doing as well, not just these individual cards. So then,
right, I have a couple of cards that can burn like Mirkwood Bats based on the number of creatures I have. So that is worth noting. Ultramarines Honor Guard is probably the best squad card. Whenever, not whenever, other creatures you control get +1/+1. If you manage to get, I don't know, 8 mana, now you have 3 Anthem effects on the field that make all your creatures +1/+1. So all of a sudden your 1/1 tokens are 4/4s. And Marneus Calgar is now a 6/8 double strike. So This guy puts in a lot of work.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. It's the last little leg that these tokens need is a little bit of life drain or deal damage, and then a little bit of extra pumping up, and then they can really get out of hand. And then I know with this finale, and I know you've
With
got a
this
couple of other
finale,
cards in here like that blot out the sky and stuff.
right? Yeah, I really like the X costs in this deck. Finale of Glory, probably in every token deck. My only problem is I know at least 3 games where I have not been able to cast Finale of Glory. I always get to 11 mana, and I'm never quite able to get to that final 12th mana you need. But
If only it had convoke. Truly,
yeah.
might
um,
have to go double check and see if there's a convoke X spell out there for token making. It might just
but
be worth it.
but at its worst, Finale of Glory is create X 2/2 soldiers with vigilance for X and white. So for uh, what would it be? 6 mana, you're going to make 4 2/2s with vigilance. That's not bad. Obviously, if you get to X is 10, meaning 12 mana total, then you're going to make as many 4/4 flying angels. So
Which is huge
that's the dream.
because you're making both, that's big. You're making both of them, not just the one or the. It's not upgrading; it's also adding on to, which is really
Right.
good.
Yeah, it's a board wiper bust. If your opponents don't have an answer to that, you do win the game. As 12 mana should.
I was about to say, as you should with 12 mana on whatever turn it is you are on.
Yeah.
But you also
um,
have another card in here that's very similar to. If you can't get to 12 mana, maybe you can get to 5 white, tap, untap 15 tap creatures you control. You win the game. Because you got a alternative plan in here, which is not a finisher. But it is a
it's not
finisher
a
because you
finisher.
win.
You're just gonna win. Yeah.
It's not a
Um,
finisher, it's a win. They're two
like we
different
said,
things.
the other cards we just covered, we have a few other versions of them. The Hollow Fountain is all on its own. Not only at the very top of it is pay 1 mana, untap Marneus Calgar, create a 1/1 token. Oh my god, that's so good. Um, but
And
and
draw
then
a
the
card
second one
because you made a token off of
because you
Marneus.
made a token with Marneus. The second one is untap 2 creatures, so Marneus and somebody else draw a card. Not bad, but you're gonna do the first one. And then yeah, as you read, if you can manage to untap 15 creatures, you're just gonna win the game.
I think it's worth. That's probably worth it. It's
Yeah,
probably easier to do that than to attack somebody with 15 1/1s and try to win like that. Thank goodness they know what they're doing with these cards because it's like,
right.
how many times do I have to hit you with these 15 1/1s before you die?
Yeah. Um, I will say it's nice to have a win con like that because it's not a card that does nothing. Like there's a few cards that are like if you have 20 of this at the beginning of your upkeep, you win the game. But the enchantment doesn't do anything else. So it's nice that Hollow Fountain is something you want to play the entire game, and then oh yeah, it could win the game too.
Well, and I do like in the rare situation, this is not an upkeep. Um, they do need to be uh, tapped. I'm noticing untap 15 tap creatures. So you actually will have to go to combat, attack, and then right then and there try to tap. That way you can win. Because then
Well,
instead of
it
going
is
to combat, you
it's
just
good
win.
effect, so you don't even have to let combat damage go through. Just on the stack after they're declared
Yeah,
attackers,
yeah.
untap them,
You just
you
win,
win.
which is good. And that's a little better than at the beginning of your upkeep. I was gonna say, and then that's when I started reading and noticing, oh, you do have to do this. So not quite at the beginning of your upkeep. You could just play this for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8. So if you've got 15 creatures, you can just play this for 3, go to combat, attack, tap it for 5, you win the game. Which is not at your upkeep, which is a little better than those other ones.
Yeah, for sure. This next win condition we have here is a little more complicated. Not that much. I think people have maybe seen it before.
It's the
Uh,
tentacle factory. That's what we're gonna
it
call it.
really
We're gonna
is.
call it the Marneus Calgar tentacle factory. When he's flying around to exterminatus planets and he sees the tentacle factory, he's like, that's gotta go.
So the way that the tentacle factory works is Nadir Kraken says whenever you draw a card, you may pay one. If you do, it gets a 1/1 counter, and you make a 1/1 blue tentacle. Um, what Marneus Calgar does is he sees you create a tentacle, he's going to draw you a card. When you draw a card, you could pay one again and create a
Oh,
tentacle.
draw,
So as long as you
draw
have
that card.
mana, as long as you have one mana, you can keep repeating this effect. What does Astronaut's Altar sitting here in the middle do for us, Austin?
Sacrifice a tentacle. Get
Sacrifice a tentacle, you
Marneus
get two
Calgar
mana.
sacks a tentacle to gain some mana.
Sacks a tentacle to gain double the amount of mana you need to create a tentacle. So now you're generating yourself a net one mana every time you do this loop. Now you do have to have cards in your library, so it's not an infinite loop. Um, where I think I might have said it was infinite earlier. It's not really infinite, but you draw 50 cards, 60 cards. You have six. You do lose all your tentacles, but now you have a 60/60 Nadir Kraken, and you have 60 plus mana that you can use to activate Marneus Calgar 10 times to create two warriors 10 times. So what's the math on that? 10, so 20
Win.
warriors. Yeah,
You win.
seems like you
You
win.
enough of those. The math is you have enough of the warriors, sorry, to untap to then win the game on the hollow fountain.
Well,
It
then
maths out.
you're going to draw enough cards. You're going to hopefully get to something like your Meyer Lurk Bats. You add the bats into this combo, and then now you're doing a damage to each opponent every single time. And so that's really the win right there. But
Kind of a
when are you gonna
moral
get a
win.
4 card win? Yeah.
It's kind of a moral win. Sitting there making someone watch Marneus cut up so many tentacles. It's a good thing I guess let's give credit to unnamed carcass on Ashnod's altar. Um, kind of looks
Yeah.
he looks Warhammery enough. Thank goodness.
Oh
That's
yeah. No, that could be a
he's a machine.
tier.
Yeah, he's definitely
Yeah.
a machine. Like that's his job. It's not that's Ashnod. That's his altar. You go to
Yeah. No.
him
Okay.
when you need that purple goo. I need to turn 20 million tentacles into some purple goo so I can put it in the hollowed fountain and win the game.
Yeah, that's something the Imperium would do.
Anyways, let's look at these pie charts right here that aren't pie charts. They are bar graphs. Let's look at these bar graphs. I'm looking at a considerable number of bar graphs here. What do these all mean?
Well, we've got an average mana curve of 3.13, so essentially 3.
Don't we all?
Yeah, pretty common, but what that means is you once you cast Marneus Calgar, next turn, you're probably going to be able to do two things. Pretty much every single turn, you should be doing two things. You know, creating a token, removing something. You should be doing two things a turn, which is pretty good. I say it that way because turn 5 you play Marneus Calgar, you have 5 mana. Next turn you have 6 mana, so 3 mana twice. So that's why I say you should always be doing two things.
Well, yeah.
Um,
Usually I just move Marnius. I think the 6 inches, and then shoot with his bolt gun. So that is the two
okay,
things.
that's true too. um, Focused on white, as I said earlier, blue over black, and quite a bit of colorless.
And you know what? No one is gonna feel no one's gonna blame you for that. Okay, it's all right. White is usually the token generator in Magic. You can't do anything about it.
No, no. Like I said, blue lets you do the instance, and then black is there for smidgen of removal and a couple of multicolor spells here or there. So
It's a pretty good combination all around. This next slide is shocking, though. I don't like this. The aura of this next
no,
slide is kind of intimidating.
I don't even
I
think this
haven't
is
moved over.
accurate.
I haven't moved over
You,
to it yet.
I
I'm
think
kind of holding.
this next slide, I believe, is highly inaccurate because I have a stack of tokens, and I'm pretty sure
You also have
there's more than this.
You have a separate deck box for tokens. I think you're
So 30,
cheating into that. You liar.
35.
You're lying.
Well, let's be clear: 35 unique tokens that, according to Archidekt, I think there's more.
Clue,
but
warrior, Astartes warrior.
That's half of a deck. So it's like, where do you keep those? There's no deck box that lets you have a full 100 cards and 35 tokens tucked in there. Plus, unfortunately,
this isn't a brand to plug or anything. This is just an actual fact. We have no solution. We're gonna have to 3D print a bigger box.
Austin hates my solution is to have 2 separate token deck boxes, and it's disgusting.
I'd rather have a butler and ask the butler, Butler, may I have 3 Hornet tokens, please? Your 3 Hornet tokens, sir. With or without Death Touch? With.
I do think what's worth noting, though, most of these tokens I have to have 2 of, because you could be attacking with them. You could be putting. I know you have. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, no. I'll change into the alarming slide now. Imagine.
Oh, you haven't even looked at the tokens yet.
We're just now on that slide. Imagine having to buy.
Tokens.
Imagine having to buy 2 of every one of these tokens, and TCG player never sending them. Imagine TCG player never sending all 70 tokens.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hop on down to my local LGS and hand them this picture. Do y'all got any of these? I want 2 of each of these, please. Human soldier, angel flying vigilance, spirit.
Hifkin.
Regular soldier. Oh lord, regular soldier.
Yeah, twice. Regular soldier, regular human soldier with vigilance.
It's a whole separate deck in here.
It really is. It's kind of the fun, though. It's one of the inspirations for me building this was, oh man, isn't it going to be stupid? Every card creates a different token.
You know, you kind of want. Remember how you want about 30 to 40 of your theme cards? Well, here they all are. 35 theme token cards. At least something's working if you're making all of these.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely. If anyone builds a Marneus Calgar deck, make sure you have all the tokens, because paper clips and rocks and lint from your pocket are not gonna make a play group happy. Not in this deck. You're gonna really need to remember which one of these is which. But yeah, what's your...
Yeah, I almost put that as a con, how many tokens you have to carry around.
It's a whole separate deck of tokens. You just kind of have to, you have to have a little token binder and just flip to whatever token it is at the time. Anyways, what is your conclusion for this deck? How does this deck make you feel?
Well, we have a plethora of tokens generating cards, and it's just a solid little go wide deck. As we said earlier, you could really put in any token generators you like. You could try to be more focused on warriors or soldiers if you wanted to, and you could even try to add synergy that way. I mean, you put tokens in. Marneus sees token. You draw a card. You make another token. It's very simple. You want to get your standard stats down. You want to be able to play the deck, but beyond that, the deck almost plays itself.
That sounds really good. Token decks are interesting. They do go wide, and it is interesting to see all the different tokens every time. I will say that. I don't know. There are a lot of other different type of token decks, but this is also nice too, because this one just cares about tokens in general. So you kind of get to hand pick what you want. Like I think most, if you just want food, then
Yeah, a lot of
Sure.
tokens are. I have a worm token deck. I have an elf token deck. I got a merfolk token deck.
A goblin.
Very
Goblin
few are like
tokens.
obviously goblins, but
I can confer that is a living goblin. We have a living
Marneus.
goblin in our group.
Yeah, we do.
We will talk
But
about him one day.
Marneus isn't racist. He'll take any tokens. So
Anything but a Tyranid token, based on Space Marine 2 and how it's going.
yeah.
Well, it's been fun to talk about your token deck, and I'm always eager to see it at the table. I don't ever think it really frustrates me or makes me mad or anything like that. It does frustrate me when I'm the only one that seems to need to board wipe it, and everyone else is just like, no, let them have a million tokens. But that's
Yeah.
a different thing. That's not really your deck. That's the people in
As
the
an
group.
as an anecdote, our last game that I played with Marneus, I had the 2 mana go get a planes. I'm blinking on the name, Austin. Help me out. The flash creature.
Birth of Meltus. One in a white saga, and when you play it, you go get a planes. Are you talking about Deep Gnome
Deep
Terramancer?
Gnome Terramancer. I had a Deep Gnome Terramancer on turn 2 of the game, and he sat there the entire game, which is just proof there was no board wipes, there was no removal of any kind that game. It was ridiculous by the end.
Yeah, it's not something you want in a token deck for sure. But yeah, I mean, like I said, it doesn't make me
I didn't
mad
even
though.
play.
That's just the play group. So it's really I think if anyone is going to build their own Marneus Calgar deck, if they're inspired to pick up whatever pieces they have left of the precon that they bought a few years ago, just grab Marneus Calgar and some token generators and start piecing it all together. It works real well. I know you were about to build something else before this got released, and this got released, and you're really excited, and you kind
I
of swapped
was.
over to this because I know you're not the biggest Warhammer fan, but you're the biggest Marneus Calgar fan.
I really am. No, this was almost a artifact bird token deck. So
That's right.
this
That's
is
right.
this is probably better.
That would have been a real one. That would have been your one, guys. And thanks for watching.
I still have the list, so maybe we'll talk about it one day. But if you want to see any other decks we've talked about or future decks, subscribe to the channel.
Yeah, we try to post a new deck profile and something to do or another with the budget, usually $50, on Fridays. So go check out the channel, and I will see y'all in the next video.
Bye bye.